Greetings from Malaysia. My name is Amina, and I'll tell you about perhaps the longest death in my life, my mother's death. Perhaps it's not good to talk about it this way, but my mother was dying for far too long. It's true. For many years, she prepared herself to lie in a coffin, arranging her own requiem and choosing a dress for her funeral. But then she'd start feeling better and everything would pass. She had a multitude of illnesses, from diabetes to precancerous conditions. For as long as I can remember, I took care of her. My father couldn't handle it and died from stress. Can you imagine? I mean, no, he had severe alcohol poisoning. He drank because of his nerves, because he could no longer bear life with his wife. At one point, he earned a lot of money and saved it all in an account for me, which I would have access to on my 17th birthday, according to our agreement. Honestly, I was so tired of my life and dreamed of getting the money as soon as possible. Going to college, leaving home, getting far away from my mother. Of course, I love her. I always have, but my patience was running out. You know, every time something good happened in my life, she would fall ill. When I was invited to a party, she would have a fever. When I got a boyfriend, she'd start having heart problems. And if I talked about college, she'd get migraines. Doctors often hospitalized her and then discharged her after 3 days because she'd start feeling better. Of course, I was always glad to hear this news, but deep down, the dark side of my soul imagined me getting far away from her, living my own independent life. A day before my 17th birthday, I received a call from the hospital. It turned out my mother had an anaphylactic shock, and the doctors urgently asked me to come. I grabbed all the recent test results, ultrasound images, x-rays, and even a brain MRI that we had. I brought everything, and to be honest, I felt calm. I was sure that history was just repeating itself and everything would be fine with her in 3 days. When I arrived, though, a doctor rushed out to me in the corridor and asked me about her allergies. I told him that she'd never had any before, and the doctor just shrugged. He said they couldn't determine the type of allergy she had, but they had to give her hormonal injections to prevent her from suffocating. That's when I realized that this situation was slightly more serious than usual. "Can I visit her?" I asked. The doctor showed me where the ward was, and I ran straight there. But she wasn't in that ward. "What's going on? Where is she?" "She was just screaming in pain and was definitely here. Maybe she went to the restroom?" We reviewed the camera footage, and I saw her walking out onto the street. I caught up with her within 5 minutes when she was attempting to cross the road in the wrong place. "Mom, stop! What's wrong with you?" "I'm dying, my dear. Let me go peacefully." "Mom, calm down. Everything will be fine." "It's not fine. Tomorrow you'll be 17, and you'll leave me." "So what? Is all of this because of my plans to leave?"
"Who will take care of me? I won't survive alone."
"You're still going to die sometime, Mom." It was harsh. I said it without thinking and hurt her deeply. Tears welled up in her eyes. I hugged my mom, apologized, and led her back to her ward. The doctors took additional tests, and the medic's eyes widened in surprise, saying,
"Everything is clean. I don't understand. The recent tests showed something different."
Well, I thought to myself, that's my mother. Why should I be surprised? They handed me a hefty bill for her tests and a separate room, but I was willing to pay just to make it to tomorrow. Then they discharged us and we went home. I planned to go to sleep, but my mother kept crying incessantly. My attempts to calm her down were unsuccessful. And then she said,
"I'm so sorry. I've spent all the money your father left behind."
Anger and resentment overwhelmed me.
"What? How dare you? That was money from my future. How could you spend it?"
My mother mumbled that her treatment was too expensive. She'd run out of money and benefits a long time ago, so she took some from me. Then gradually, more and more. I sat down on the floor in despair. "How much is left?" I asked, and my mother whispered softly,
"Nothing."
"When will you just finally die?" I shouted and stormed out of the house, slamming the door. I stood on the street, not knowing what to do with myself, and then I heard the sound of breaking dishes. Hurrying back inside, I saw my mother smashing plates and trying to harm herself with the shards. My mother's exposed shoulder had a scar on it, and I remembered an incident from my childhood when a dog attacked me. It grabbed me by my coat, barely missing my body, and my mother, seeing the danger I was in, simply offered her shoulder, and the dog tore into it with its fangs while she held me tightly, shielding me with her body. When I was 7 years old, I fell seriously ill. I don't remember what it was, but I needed a blood transfusion. And as it turned out, my mother became my donor without a moment's hesitation. And then I remembered that when my father died, my mother, so that I wouldn't witness it all, gave me money and sent me to stay with her sisters while she took care of the funeral arrangements. Now, I told a person who relies on me that I wished her death. I swiftly put away the shards of the broken dishes and hugged my mother. The next day, I took her to a psychologist, and she was diagnosed with Munchausen syndrome, a condition where a person intentionally stimulates physical or mental illness symptoms in themselves. The problem was that she wasn't doing it consciously. She simply needed my attention. So I postponed college for a year, started working, and helped my mother cope with her illness. What brings me joy is that now she isn't dying. She just needs my love. My mom's always been strict. She has obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, a condition that causes obsessive thoughts that can lead to compulsive actions. She washes dishes, floors, clothes, and airs the house 13 times a day if she thinks it's not clean enough. Hi, my name is Lisa. Because of the strict control throughout my life, I decided to try something forbidden. It happened when I met a girl on the street. She was smoking a vape, staring at her phone, and not paying attention to the road or traffic lights. I managed to grab and hold her at the last moment. Her name was Ven Ling. This girl came from China. If you didn't know, in that country, it's strictly prohibited by law to smoke vapes and pods. In general, any electronic cigarettes, even though that's where they produce them all. Ven Ling bought herself a vape as soon as she arrived and smoked it at home and on the street. She'd been living in the USA for only a week and spoke about how much she loved the fact that her family wasn't there. In gratitude for saving her, she handed me a pink device. I had no idea how to use it, but she showed me and told me everything. I didn't immediately dare to try it because I heard my mom's voice in my head saying, "It's not hygienic, it's dirty, it's disgusting." Those were her daily words. Ven left me the gift and continued on her way, and I put the device in my bag and went home. Mom was cooking dinner and talking to someone on the phone. I only heard, "No! How could she? She needs to be punished so she remembers." At dinner, my mom told me about her friend's daughter. They'd found cigarettes in her bag, and for some reason, my mother threw a fit. After we ate, I cleared the table and washed the dishes, and then Mom came over. She checked every plate, then made me wash them again. Usually I did this without any hassle, but that day I felt too tired. I said it was okay to just leave it, but Mom wouldn't calm down. She began to tremble in a nervous attack, calling me names and demanding that I wash them again. In the end, I washed those dishes 36 damn times. 36! Can you imagine? After that, I went into my room and, feeling weak, lay down on the bed. I got a message on my phone, reached for my bag, and only remembered that my new gift was in there then. I took a couple of puffs, and you know what? I like the berry sweet taste with a slight chill. I also noticed that it calmed me down. Since then, I smoked everywhere. Around the corner on the street, at home when my mother was asleep, in the bathroom, even in the school toilet if no one was there. I started smoking more and more, buying one after another of new flavors, different shapes and brands, and I liked it. Plus, I started sleeping better at night, drinking more water because some flavors were very sweet. And in general, I consider the person who created non-smelly electronic cigarettes a genius. Everything was good, except that I'd spent all my money on them. One day, Ven Ling and I met again, and we went to my house. The first thing Ven said was, "Your house is too clean." Yeah, you're right. It's like an operating room. Why clean the house constantly if it's already clean? It's all my mom. She makes me do it. Once, I cleaned the windows with cotton swabs because she said there's dirt there that can't be removed otherwise. I spent 4 whole days on that. Nightmare. Listen, can I show you what fun means? Then Ven poured a glass of soda right on the floor. I was shocked, and then my friends started throwing all the things around, and I joined in. It was amazing. The whole house changed beyond recognition. The fun didn't last long, though. The door opened, and my mom froze in shock in the doorway. I was punished. My mom said that I'd now have to wash everything 13 times, and if she didn't like it then, 13 times more. This infuriated me. I yelled at her in anger, and my mom threatened to throw away all my belongings. I'm not kidding. She climbed into my closet, pulled out the outerwear, and was going to throw everything away. But I grabbed them by the other end, and we pulled them from side to side. I didn't think I had so much strength in my state of anger. Then I let go of the clothes, and my mom fell, hitting her head. I apologized, feeling ashamed and scared. My mom, getting up from the floor, said that she was upset not so much about the mess in the house as about me smoking. She'd suspected it for a long time, didn't want to believe it, and it turned out to be true. When I was 6 years old, my stepmother came into the picture. You didn't know her, and I never told you about her. This woman had her own daughters, and I was a stranger to them. While my father was at work, she made me do all the cleaning, scrubbing, and polishing. I hated cleaning more than anything in the world, but if I didn't do something, she'd punish me cruelly. Just so you understand, she'd shave my head bald and I'd get 30 lashes on my back with a whip, and that was just the beginning. Then I grew up and ran away from there and made a promise to myself that I'd never clean so much and love order so much. But it turned out to be the opposite. I started to have a disorder, and I even dragged you down with me. My mom said. I'd heard her story for the first time, and I was shocked. I felt sorry for her to the point of being in pain. She started crying, and suddenly an idea came to me. I took out my pink pod and offered for Mom to try it. What are you doing? Just try it. It calms you down. No, I can't. I'm your mother, and you'll always be. Just try it. Mom felt embarrassed, but she took a drag and enjoyed the taste. After 3 minutes, she felt more relaxed. Since then, she started calming down this way, and we also started cleaning less often.